All right, Dave. So we have talked at length about different topics when it comes to college. One of them being financial aid, but specifically need based
Mm-hmm.
financial aid. But not everybody qualifies for that.
Correct.
Who are some of the people? What are the types of families that do not qualify for that? What's called need based financial aid?
Yeah. So in our business, we use category 1, 2, and 3. Category 3 being the families that don't necessarily qualify for need-based aid. And the problem there is really that while they may not qualify for quote unquote need-based aid, they still have to go through the same process everybody else has to go through if they want to get money from the schools in any way, shape, or form, right? And so the key to a category 3 family is that they have to be a little bit more strategic about where the money's coming from and how they're doing it. But if they want money from the schools, if they want the grants and the scholarships that exist, they've got to participate and play the game, right?
Now, they go about, they don't play it wrong, or they play the game wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that such an issue for someone that is this category 3 that you mentioned?
Yeah, so I think the reality is we've been doing a podcast now for over a year, and we've interviewed high-ranking officials in the financial aid world, in the admissions world, and we've talked about this, and we've read the articles and done the research. And the reality is, schools leverage families, right? And they leverage them because a school would rather get a check from a family than no check at all. And in an effort to get that check, they're going to offer something to the family. So when you look at two families, one can afford school, one can't afford school. And rather than, have them say no to the school because the tuition's $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, maybe if they offer money, they'll get the $40,000 check from the family. And so the category 3 families have to assume that by virtue of filling it out, you're telling them, yes, we can afford something. Now, make it worth our while to actually write a check to you rather than just say, no, we're not paying full boat.
Mm-hmm. Now, someone goes into this blind.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think that there's the possibility of getting any money.
Yeah.
What's the big downfall for that?
I think it just exacerbates the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go into it thinking you're not going to get any money, you're going to have to liquidate assets. You're going to have to take tax gains, tax burdens, and you're going to have to end up paying one way or the other. You're paying it to the school, you're paying it to the government, and you're eliminating your eligibility. Why would you ever eliminate your eligibility, right? I've never known a wealthy family that wanted to waste money. They didn't get to be wealthy by wasting money. So it just makes the problem worse, right?
So when you address it, when you play the game, potentially you get that school to come down in cost. And you said wealthy people, they don't overspend, right? If they can save money, they do. What positive effects does that have down the road?
Well, I mean, the reality is the opportunity cost to every dollar spent in anything you do. So as a category 3 family, you may have bigger aspirations for helping your children launch, right? A dollar that you don't have to spend on college is a dollar that can grow and be spent somewhere else, right? That's obvious. Question is, can you help them with a down payment on a house? Can you help start 529 funds for your future grandchildren? What is it that you're giving up by paying that sticker price because you don't want to go through the process or you don't want to disclose something? When you do, and you save that $20,000 a year or that $10,000 a year, whatever it is, you have opportunity now to invest money that you otherwise wouldn't have had opportunity to invest. And, there's a tagline out there or a common phrase, the rich get richer, right? Because they do savvy things and they understand that by playing the game the right way, they can actually win in the end.
Got it. So these category 3 families, they might need some specific solutions that are different than the other category families that you mentioned. What do you do? What are some of the things on how you help these families achieve some of these goals and avoid some of those problems?
Yeah, so I think the key is it's not simply money, and it's not simply school choice. It's where those two intersect that really have an impact, especially on category 3 families. Let's use, for instance, the family that their child probably could get into an Ivy League school or one of the elite schools, but there's another tier of schools that gives an awful lot of money because the elite schools only give what's called need-based aid, right? Then there's a school that is equal in pedigree, just doesn't have the classification and gives merit-based money. So you've got a talented student that can get money at an elite school. Why would you not go for it, right? And so I think what we help families understand is, number one, we've got to go through the strategies and the planning to figure out what you're going to owe, what you're going to need to pay, what you're going to need to liquidate, what you're going to need to move around. But at the same time, really focus in on that school choice component for those students and those families.
Gotcha. All right. Somebody's hearing this and they go, I think you're describing me.
Yeah.
They haven't addressed this issue, or maybe they just thought, I make too much, I'm just going to pay full price. Oh, wait, there's a way I can pay less for college.
Yeah.
What's the first steps they should take?
So again, I think start here, start with elitecollegiateplanning.com, see what we do, determine if it's right for you. But more importantly, one of the things I love about the category 3 families we help is that they like expert professional advice. They like to pay and get the right advice and win in these scenarios. So I think starting at elitecollegiateplanning.com, understanding that you probably should go through the financial aid subject, or the financial aid process, and also that school choice becomes very, very real in your game. And so using services like ours that can do all of those things is very important for those families.
What are some of the successful experiences that you've had where you've built plans for these category 3 families, and what does their life look like after college?
I mean, it's phenomenal, because the one thing I know is when they get good advice in this arena, they want more good advice in other arenas. And so they come back, they say, hey, you saved this money. What should we do with it? How should we invest it? How should we create opportunities for kids? Is there other things we can do that are beneficial? So those families are just, number one, they're thankful that they went through the process and that they didn't have to do it. I think that's huge. They didn't actually have to file the forms. We took care of it for them. They didn't have to help with the conversations around school choice. It was dealt with between them and their children and our organization. So ultimately, these families, they have excess capital at the end that they wouldn't have had otherwise. They're appreciative of it, and they're just thankful. So again, I think it's a bigger, complex tool that category 3 families just know they need to engage. And when the outcome is fantastic, again, I think that it's gratitude in general.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yep.